Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Ree O'Donnell. Well, this is an e-meet. I've never met you, but I saw a lot of what you're doing through a friend of mine's project. That project is kind of along the same lines of empowering people to change the world, essentially. So I really like that project that you're working on, and I saw that you started another project using your science skills to make some hand sanitizer to donate to places in need. So I wanted to ask you about all that. You're doing a lot though, so I don't really know how to introduce yourself. So go for it. Introduce yourself to the people.
Well, hey, I'm Ray, and it's super nice to meet you. You've been a pleasure to work with so far. But I am a biochemistry major at CU Boulders. Kind of what drew me into biochemistry and science in general. I've always been interested in it. But if you look at us and the natural world around us and all, like every living being, we're perfect machines that we can't really replicate. We have so many systems in our body that all work perfectly in union. For all the things that could go wrong, not a lot does.
Mhm.
And that always really interested me. And the chemistry aspect, it's really cool to see kind of the building blocks of how all that stuff works, like the really getting down to like how things work. And I always say it's kind of, it's like playing guitar, like it's a pain in the butt to learn. Learning chemistry is hard, but once you have that base knowledge and it's like the guitar, once you know how to play, and I mean, your fingers hurt and it sucks for a while, but you can play really great songs. I've been really, really fortunate to be invited onto a couple of a huge project that I'm so, so proud to be a part of. It kind of inspired me to do a little bit of my own philanthropy in a project for during this time that's going on. So
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I really respect your aptitude for the physical sciences because, like, I was always fascinated too by like how things work. But then, right when I got into like college classes of physical sciences, I was like, wow, this is difficult, and I would much
Yeah,
rather study the social sciences.
that's why a lot of people don't play guitar.
Yeah. So I appreciate your ability to use your guitar skills for good. I think that there's a lot of solutions out there, a lot of small solutions that could lead to big changes when
Absolutely.
addressing climate change. So I find what you're doing with biofuel to be very interesting, and especially like along with the misconceptions of it, of how people don't really understand how
Absolutely.
it actually works.
And the way it's been shut down over the years as like a viable
Yeah,
option.
I entertain some conspiracy theories every once in a while, and the
Oh
fossil
yeah.
fuel industry sounds a little shady to me.
I don't even know if that's a conspiracy theory.
Right? Could you elaborate a little bit more on what you're doing with biofuel?
The fun part about the company or the team that I'm working with is they're set to kind of recreate or create new standards of how things are done. We're creating a biodiesel, a biofuel from industrial waste.
Mhm.
And that kind of upends the argument that has always been used against biodiesel being or biofuel being a viable fuel option. The big problem that has all or the ethical question that's been pushed to kind of shove down biodiesel or biofuel being an option is that farmers have to grow whole, say, soybean oil. Soybeans have to be grown, and if they're grown specifically for the use of a fuel, they're not being used for food. And that is always the argument that they use. You can't, like, oh, well, you shouldn't be, any food source needs to be allocated to food needs, not used on waste like this. But the whole thing that we're doing is we're taking waste and it just throws that argument out the window. And the big part right now is the waste that we're using, the biodiesel that comes out of it needs to be cold stabilized. That is what I'm doing. Hopefully, like that's what I'm working on. That's my part of the project is cold stabilizing this fuel so we can use it. And so when it drops below 50 degrees, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a
Yeah.
viable fuel option. It's going to be able to run whether you're on a mountain, whether it's winter, whether it's summer. And another kind of thing that people like to say or try, they're like, oh, it can't be like as good as petrol. Like the power, like there isn't enough power output or whatever it might be. But we're using a triglyceride, and that's a fat. How many calories are stored in fat? There's a reason we
Yeah.
like to eat it. We want fat, and it looks like the car wants it because it's super efficient. This what we're looking at is it actually ups the horsepower of the G-Wagon that we're using from 450 horsepower to like 550 with and reducing our emissions by like 55 low range, but we're looking at like 95%. But the beautiful part about this is, well, it's industrial waste that we're using. It would be thrown out. That is what kicks the argument of not using, say, a or a food product, where it doesn't matter. It's trash. It's waste. It's going in the garbage. I mean, we're just trying to build a model to show the rest of the world we're building a truck that hopefully will introduce it to other companies. Hopefully, like I said, we're really building a model, but we're getting it up to 95% reduction in fuel emissions, which is incredible, and upping the power output. So it is a viable option should we figure out how to not make it freeze. But the damage to the environment caused by traditional petroleum extraction from the earth, and the amount of damage that fracking does for, say, pulling natural gas to water systems, it ruins it. And natural gas pipelines being put in, and the danger that those cause, just viable alternatives that are not as dangerous and are just better for the environment, because we're using stuff that we already have. That's the beauty of it. It's nothing that we're not pulling from anywhere, and that's kind of the beauty of using the industrial waste. I think it's such an amazing way to show what a little ingenuity can do, and truly looking at, we all think recycling and recycling plastic, but you can recycle so much more. It's not even recycling, it's just purposing stuff, and kind of changing that frame of mind where, okay, I'll just put it in the garbage, to how can I use this thing that I have no use for right now? And that's kind of the beauty of chemistry, where you can play with it. I'm really, really lucky to be on the project. I'm I feel so lucky. And it totally, having such a supportive group, the team is amazing. Everyone cares so much about the purpose, the message, which obviously, you got keyed in on it, you love it, and I think that it's really going to be a success once we kind of launch it. And it's because it's an amazing thing, and I think people are going to, I don't know, get it. They're going to feel it. They're going to vibrate with it a little, or what's it called? What's that word? Resonate. Thank you.
Yeah. So it seems pretty obvious that petrol oil is not the way to go, since it's supposedly a finite resource. It's finite resource,
Such a
and
great point.
and it's incredibly damaging to our environment. So it seems like a no-brainer to me of if we have the opportunity to use waste to create fuel, that's what we should go for. So how can people kind of shift their mindset to supporting causes like yours?
We're working on a documentary. It's coming out. We were aiming on 2021, but with the outbreak, filming has slowed. A lot of the different things, moving pieces that we had were in the works to be filmed, big events, sort of different sponsors we had. Everything slowed down quite a bit. So it would have been 2021. We're working on 2023. Hopefully, that would be great. So, keep an eye out for that. But really, a big way to externally do it is really champion people who are making these. When you notice somebody doing something, support them in any way you can. So find local businesses that are doing amazing projects like the one we're doing. We're creating a biodiesel, and at least getting the word out for different projects that strike you, where it is putting in a little bit of extra time to kind of vet what you believe in. And I think that, honestly, that might be the biggest thing that people could do, is truly take this time to, reprocess or reconfigure what's going on, and taking the time that we've slowed down so much to take a non-ideal situation and make the best of it and see some positivity in it. You have to see opportunity in bad situations, because if you didn't, things would just continue to be bad.
I think you put that perfectly, of we can use this time to kind of reorganize our lifestyles and our mindsets, because I think a lot of when people are wasteful, it's mostly out of just convenience and that we're in a rush. And now that things are slowed down, I think people can start to implement some new strategies of not being as wasteful, being a minimalist and things like that, and to have the time to check out projects like yours and to dedicate their free time to something important for them. With that, I think it's I kind of live by two certain mindsets. One was from my brother when I was in boot camp. He sent me a letter, and in it he said, like, don't be just another person taking a shit every day. Like, do something with your life and make sure that it's meaningful to you. And then another one that I think of is like, yeah, is if everybody had if everybody thought that nothing they did mattered, then nothing would ever change. And I can definitely see that you're the type of person that is like, I'm going to make a difference, and I really admire that. And I can see that with your hand sanitizer project of you're like, I have this aptitude for chemistry, and I know how to make hand sanitizer. So I'm going to go out and do that. So can you explain a little bit about what that project is and how you got that started?
Sure. To start, I didn't know how to make hand
Oh yeah.
sanitizer. I mean, it's just not something like I never looked up how to make it. And then I was poking around on the World Health Organization website, just trying to, I don't know, I was bored.
Yeah.
And just trying to read up on COVID, and it was at the beginning, so it was kind of that information blast that everybody got. And
Yeah.
then they had the formula out for a 10-liter amount and also for just like a smaller amount.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I have like an at-home lab that is we built, and
You're a science nerd, aren't you? You have an at-home
but like,
lab?
well, we
That's
already
awesome.
had it. And so
Yeah.
like, I have this space, like what else do I need? Like the first thing that popped into my head was the homeless and the elderly
Hmm.
may not have access to like crowded living in Boulder and Denver. It's, I mean, they're beautiful places to live, so we do have a really large homeless population.
Hmm.
And I thought, if I'm just on a world level, if our whole point is to stop the spread of this, then it's not just like, sure, stay inside and you don't want to, but what about the people that don't have that option, don't have the luxury of being inside, or are in a nursing home and they don't, it's just things get spread and they're at risk. So helping them and creating hand sanitizer to pass out to them. And yeah, just like I thought that was a really, really great way to help. So I started a fundraiser. I needed $500 to do my project. People were so generous, and so many people just like donating $5, but so many people did it that I made the $500 mark, which was fantastic. And we were able to buy all the things that I needed to make it. The thing is, I'm not using it for, not monetizing it. Labeling was a big concern of mine. It's just important to know what's going on your skin. It needs to be in accord. Like if you're distributing it, even if it isn't monetized, I believe that it should be like in accordance with national guidelines and should include what's put out, like keep out of reach of children, like all the warnings for external use only, and have just so people know what they're using. Just doing all that, so it was super easy. I didn't do anything. I didn't do any research. I didn't make it. Like I didn't design this stuff. It's just like I made a video with my friend, and we ran around the mountains for like we ran
Yeah, I
around.
saw that. That was adorable. That was pretty funny.
I just did that, and then I ordered stuff, and then I mixed it together.
You can still pat yourself on the back. You did a lot to
Well, I
do the
made a video.
fundraising and set everything up, make it, and then find out how to distribute it.
It doesn't take that much effort altogether, and but then to see that other people really resonate with it, like the fact that we're here now, that you saw this project and you thought it was something worth talking about, is awesome. Like I'm glad that other people are seeing it and they're like, we need that, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
yes, we do. I guess the whole motto you asked earlier, like what's your mindset, it's all mindset based. Like living mindfully, I think, is a huge, huge piece. As I've gotten older, the restlessness that I've had, and where I do like to be active in doing things, having that mindfulness of like what's going on in the world and caring about different things has like let me kind of channel all that extra energy into
Hmm.
projects like this. And that's what I like about everything being slowed down, because it
Yeah.
offers this opportunity that we haven't had before. Yeah, living your life with a little bit of purpose and recognizing what's going on in the world. And
Well, you touched on a lot of good things there. Like I was going to ask you, like, what was your motivation to do this, and what would be your advice for people to like take that $1 million idea and take off with it.
It's a $0 idea,
Yeah.
but it's important. You have to give back.
Yeah.
You have to take care of people.
To kind of start wrapping things up, what are some of the lessons that you've been learning throughout quarantine and just throughout this whole pandemic that you found really useful and that you're going to continue practicing moving forward?
I was lucky enough when the biofuel project came into my life, I was happy to learn that you can really, really enjoy your work. And it was the first time that I was like, oh, I can make a career out of doing things that I really care about. And I think that was a huge, huge lesson that I learned. It was a huge realization in my life. Because not before, but I was like, okay, like I need to get a job, I need to finish school, I need to do this, 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 and this. And then how long until I want to go into this? Am I going to go to grad school? Am I going to go to med school? What am I going to do? But really, this amazing, there are so many opportunities out there, and you can create your own opportunities. A lot of people think that reflects only on kind of creative endeavors, where it goes into like being an artist or being a creative in some aspect of the word. And jobs can be these amazing things that your job can be what you care about. And so it's not everyone says it's such a cliche, but it is a job, but it's a job that you are passionate about and you take your passions and put them into.
I feel like there's two different types of people, of like those that work to make a living or those that find like their life through the work that they do.
Yeah.
That was a good play on words. I was kind of in the same boat of a few years ago. I thought I got like the job of my dreams, where I was doing explosive detection for professional sporting events, and it was
Wow.
a lot of fun. And I loved
stress, I bet, at times.
Not really, because to be honest, like there wasn't much of a threat level, and
midnight.
it was more for like a psychological deterrence and to make people feel safe. To be honest,
oh, totally.
And I kind of like started noticing like I am literally part of the military industrial complex. Like I'm getting paid well, but I'm not doing like what I really feel like is my purpose. To where like I started to shift my mindset of like I want to use my skills of help or like training dogs to help people. So I quit that job and I initially went into rehabbing pit bulls rescued from fighting rings, but then I just got a job with service dog training, and I feel like it's kind of a privilege to be able to find jobs that you do feel like you're finding your meaning in. But I think that if people put the time in and work towards it, they will eventually find that. And I feel like a lot of us just get caught up in like getting comfortable with a job that gives us a paycheck to go home at the end of the day, and then we might be exhausted and sit down in front of the TV and not work on those creative things.
And then 50 years later.
Yeah, and then you're like looking back at your life type of thing. But yeah, so I think what you said makes resonates with a lot of people of like find something that you're passionate about and work towards it, and don't just get complacent with the everyday runaround. And yeah, hopefully things don't go back to the rat race and people can spend this time thinking about those types of things. So then on a larger scale, what would you like to see kind of society shift towards moving forward about maybe taking those small lessons and putting it to a larger scale?
Focusing on taking care of each other a little bit more. And I don't mean, and this is where it like a lot of people start with a political conversation at this point, but like I don't think politics need to be introduced in that situation at all. I think it's just the mindset. Yeah, and I really, really hope that this pause that we have, like we're forced to take because of a viral pandemic, makes everybody kind of see that again and almost like go back to our roots a little bit of I don't know, not just taking care of your family, but your neighbors, and yeah, just the mindfulness of being alive and like recognizing how lucky we are to even like be here. Like dying is a privilege because it means you lived, like, you know, like there's just a sort of beauty in it and like the law of life. That's kind of what I wish to see, like, and the acceptance of innovation and all those people And on the positive side, yeah, the innovation, really bringing that into your life. And if you have an idea, write it down, because then it's physical. And
Yeah.
you think about it again, maybe look it up, and maybe look up things and like how you might be able to make it happen, and do more research. And it doesn't have, I've learned that things don't happen overnight, and to accept and enjoy a longer project timeline. What you invest, you get out. And I think that's what you put into the world, you will get out. You'll see huge returns in your life, and other people's lives are going to be great too if you invest in them. And I think, yeah, that's kind of just a little bit more humanity would be nice. So, and like, but like really, really embracing the idea of humanity and what we are and our ability to innovate, and just that, like, yeah, I'd like to see people just see the good in everything and make it better.
Yeah, those are all really good points of like
It's very
gratitude,
idealistic.
empathy, innovation. What's that?
But it's very idealistic.
I feel like the name of this project is super idealistic, but like I want it to be aiming for, yeah, let's change the world together. And even though that sounds like facetious, it's like, no, we all can, because we can all make these little changes together that lead to big changes. As long as we have a collective mindset for change, it can happen. And like what you just said, a lot of other people have said on this project, and that's not to downplay your input or anybody else's input. It's showing that we have a collective mindset already. We just need to put it into action of
Make it
being
mainstream.
innovative, breaking norms, and supporting each other with our ideas, or work or helping each other make those ideas come to life. So I helped your ideas come to life a little bit better, and you've
Absolutely.
definitely made a lot of really good given a lot of really good insights for people to take with them. And I hope this also inspires people to show them that, like, yeah, if you have an idea, just go for it. Like, there might be some things holding you back, but most of the time it's your own mind that's holding you back from doing something.
That's
So
really sweet of you. Thank you so like, it's so fun to do something and then have other people like it.
yeah,
And
well, it deserves acknowledgement because we need more people like you that are
that's
spending
this
their time
that is the
making
sweetest,
a
that's
difference.
the kindest thing you could say to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, actually it is. I mean, it's hard to take that kind of stuff, like to hear something like that, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
okay.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah, of
It's lovely
course.
to hear.
But yeah, I really thank you for making the time to talk to me today and contributing to this project.
It's my
And
pleasure.
I hope I can contribute to yours with the biofuel and the hand sanitizer as well.